So today we are joined by an artist who just played, Subphonic. You've released on Disciple, Subsidia, had support from the likes of Excision and 12th Planet, Modestep, Atelians, the list goes on. We got Bainbridge on the show today. I did not say that correctly. Bainbridge. There we go.
What's up? What's up?
How we doing, man?
Good. How about you?
Good. I just want to first start off by saying thank you so much for playing our show a couple weeks ago. That was freaking awesome. You threw down, man.
Thank you, dude. Yeah, that was a blast. That was fun. That was my first time in California, so.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because you're originally from Minnesota, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So where do you currently live there still, or did you move?
Yeah. No, I still live around there. I technically live in Wisconsin, but I live right on the border.
Okay, cool.
So the Minneapolis scene is like 30, 40 minutes from me.
Okay. I've never really been out there too much. I flew in there once, but I don't really know anything about it. Is there a decent scene for EDM out there?
Yeah, the scene's not too bad, all things considered. I mean, it's not it's a pretty big metro area, but it's not anywhere as near the size of, Miami or LA,
right.
New York City, anything like that. But
right. Yeah, it's kind of sounds like our Sacramento scene a little bit. We're not the biggest, but we do have a pretty strong community here.
I'm trying to think. What is the size of Sacramento?
I have no idea, to be honest.
I'm looking right now. So it's 500,000, and Minneapolis is 5.6 million.
Oh yeah, completely different.
So it's 10 times the size.
Yeah, completely different.
Yeah.
Is there, like, we were talking a little bit before the interview, we have a couple of different promotion companies out here. Is it kind of similar out there too, or?
Yeah, there's two. There's Skyway Theater, which does most of the EDM events.
Okay.
And then they have Sim Shows, which does really big stuff like the Armory, and they put on the drive-in that was out here in September that I played.
Yep.
And then they have TC Dubstep that does Snowda Festival.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, that's on my list to go to. Have you ever been?
I have not.
I have not. It looks wicked, man.
I was gonna play it last year, like at the end of like New Year's Eve, like 2019, going into 2020.
Okay.
But I was already under contract for Skyway.
Gotcha.
I ended up playing Skyway.
Gotcha. So your artist name is Bainbridge, and I was reading a little bit in your bio. That's your middle name, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why did you choose that, and like, does that have a special meaning into your artistry and like your sound?
No, I really it was kind of back when I was getting into this stuff. It was back when all the big room DJs and the house DJs, because that's kind of what I got started with.
Right.
It was back when they were using like their names, like first and last, or last name, or middle name, or a combination.
Calvin Harris.
Yeah, Martin Garrix, like stuff like that. Yep,
right.
Exactly. So I was like, man, I don't know what to do for a name. And then I was like, oh, I guess I never thought about my middle name. That's pretty unique. And I just kind of just did a little quick dive, and I was like, nobody had that name in electronic music. So I was like, perfect. So I picked it, and it stuck.
Yeah, it just stuck. That's awesome. So you originally started in big room. What originally like transitioned you into dubstep? What was that journey like?
So I mean, the first type of EDM that I ever heard was it was like the old Excision, the old Datsik stuff, like way back when, like 2012,
right?
Or 2010. I mean, it was like when it was like Firepower and Swagga and like that type of stuff.
Yeah,
so that was kind of like the first stuff I'd ever heard, and then it was like Skrillex, like Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites. That was kind of like my first taste of electronic music, and I was like, this is cool, and I never really thought anything of it. And then I got into the house stuff, and then it was like from there was trap originally. It was like it was back with like Uzi and Hoochie and stuff like that.
Yep.
Who else was like Loud Pack and Keys and Crates?
Oh,
and
dude,
yeah. I was way into that stuff. Yeah. My buddy had showed me it. I was really into metal at the time, and my friend that I met at college was like, "Hey, have you ever heard of like trap?" And I was like, "No, what is this?
What the hell is
like,
that?
What's that?" Like, but obviously I knew like what the beats were,
right.
But it was just like beats with more like focus on like a synth like bass line on top of it.
Right.
And so he showed me that, and I fell in love, and so I was really into that. And then I made he was really into deep house, and he started showing me that, and then I started getting into I started getting into the house stuff. And then it was actually Excision 2016 at the Bass Pod, because I went to EDC.
Dude, I was literally going to bring that up to you because you mentioned Excision earlier. I just saw like a replay on the Insomniac TV on YouTube. They replayed it like a few months ago, and I just happened to catch it. And I was like, dude, this sounds nothing like Excision. Like how he sounds now, like completely different. You're playing like trap, like Excision playing trap. Like, what is this?
Yeah, Excision plays a ton of different stuff now. It's cool.
Yeah.
But I went to EDC with some friends, and I was still into like the big room stuff. And then one of the girls was like, "Let's go to the Bass Pod. Like, I want to see Excision." And I was like, "All right, okay, yeah, like Excision, like from back in the day, I used to be. All right, like yeah, let's check it out." So I went there, and I was just like, yo, like with the sub, like just the sub, because the sub, I mean, their systems are ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
There.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like vibrating like the hairs on my arms like 30 feet away. Like it was crazy.
Sending chills down your back. I need
this. Oh yeah, man. That was like the most like bass I'd ever experienced. And that was it. I was like, dude, like just like looking around, seeing the energy.
Yeah.
I was like, this is sick. And that was it. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna make dubstep.
Yeah, and you're hooked.
And that was it. Yeah, so I just swapped what I was making to that.
Nice. So obviously now that you've fallen into the dubstep route, you've toured quite a bit, and you've played even up in Canada. You've played all around the States. What was like one of the most memorable tour like places that you've played, and why?
The top two cities, I think, which comes at no surprise, is Montreal and Denver.
Yep, Denver. Yeah.
I would. In my opinion, I don't know, people might disagree, but I think that Montreal is the bass capital of the world.
Yeah.
And I think that
people argue that and say Denver is, but
I think Montreal is the bass capital internationally. And as for the States go, it's Denver.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Which is crazy because like to even think about, because it's so huge in the States, but like you think about like other countries, like there's only like one major festival, I think, Rampage in Europe, right? Or are there more? That might be the only one I know of.
Well, in Europe?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a ton of festivals.
Oh, there's a ton. Okay.
Yeah, there's.
It just seems like it's like way more prominent here in the States, though.
Mm-hmm.
So most of
Europe has got like a huge like drum and bass and
dance scene. Yeah, UK Garage and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like DEF CON is over there, which is like all like hard dance. They have Creamfields. They have Tomorrowland.
Yep.
Rampage.
I mean. People like who's like, has any dubstep producer played Tomorrowland? Because I know like people like Alice in Wonderland have, but yeah,
I want to say that there's
I just don't know who it is. Yeah,
I think they have more than one stage. I'm not super familiar with Tomorrowland, but I think that they have more than one stage. Where their main stage, obviously, it was like it's like Calvin Harris and Alesso and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, I think their side stages, I think they do like trap, and they do have like dubstep and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I read through your bio a little bit more too, and you're trained classically in piano, trumpet, and guitar, correct? So how does that play into making like how did that happen? Because I feel like the melodies in that, and then like the deep aggressive sounds that you produce now, like how did that transition into that?
That's a tough question. How did I mean, it started a lot because of metal. So my dad pushed me. My dad pushed me when I was a kid to do piano lessons. He was like, it was one of those things where it's like I was the kid and I was like, I don't want to take the stupid piano lessons. You know, my dad's like, just trust me, like you're gonna do this. Like, you know, so he kept making me do it. I really didn't take that much piano lessons. I did it for like a year and a half, maybe.
Okay. So you learned like the basics of like scales and bars.
I learned like the basics. Yeah. I was playing like by the time that I finished, I was like, I think what happened is my piano teacher like quit or something. Or she had moved and went to a different place. But by the time I was like finished with that, I was playing with two hands, and I was like reading music and playing along with two hands and stuff like that. Can't really play with two hands now. Yeah. But obviously, like, I know all the keys on the piano, so that helps a ton.
Yeah, it's helpful with just basic producing stuff.
Yeah, it's helpful just like basic producing stuff. I don't remember a whole ton of my lessons because I was like 7 or 8 at the time. And then school rolled around, and then it was like they, at the elementary school, they come in like 5th grade right before you go to middle school, and they're just like, hey, like this is band, like pick an instrument if you want to sign up.
Yeah.
And so I actually originally wanted to play the flute, but my parents were like, no, like just like, because I think my second choice was the trumpet and my third choice was the drums or something like that. And my parents like, just do the trumpet, like you'll like it. And I picked it up and I was a natural at it. Like I didn't.
Damn, your parents knew you pretty well then.
yeah, it was pretty weird. I didn't have to practice or anything. And I was first chair in high school, and it just came super naturally to me. So then that helped a lot. And then I was like, gosh, I want to play like trumpet. Like I want to play cool stuff.
Yeah.
I want to like shred guitar. I want to play like heavy like metal music. So yeah, I got a guitar when I was like 13, 14. I started playing with that, and then I got pretty good at it being self-taught. I took some lessons, but it was more like, here's how you play like chords and stuff. And I was like, well, I don't care about that.
I took basic guitar too when I was younger. And it just wasn't my thing, man.
It wasn't. No, the lessons were totally different. So I ended up going to a ton of metal shows when I was in high school. I started going to concerts when I was 14. 15, 16, I was going to a ton. I mean, there was like Tuesday nights and school nights. So I'm like, hey, I'm going downtown. I'm going to go to a concert, and I'll be back at like 1 a.m. My parents didn't like it. But, they definitely didn't like it, but I got to do it, which was cool. And I met some people, and then I ended up taking guitar lessons from a guy that was in a local metal band that was really good. They started to get some traction. I think the band split up eventually, but yeah, he lived really close, and so he started teaching me like metal guitar, which is
like way different than like just
it's totally different. So I started doing that stuff, and then I played in a band for like 6 months or a year. We actually played 2 shows, and then the drummer from our band actually went on to be a drummer in a band called Reflections.
Okay, I don't know if I've heard of them, but I'm not a huge. I don't listen to a ton of that music. So,
have you ever heard of like Veil of Maya?
Yeah.
So he went on tour with Veil of Maya his senior year of high school.
Oh shit!
So his band blew up. Yeah, no, I think now they have like they're like 100 or 200K likes on Facebook, and
damn,
they're like actually big. So he was a prodigy. He was so much better than us in the band, and he was a drummer. And I was just like, man, that makes so much sense for him to leave and go actually do that. So yeah, our band kind of fell apart and whatnot, but I did have that experience. And I just had like this longing to like do something with music. And I was like, I kind of had given up on the being a rock star playing guitar thing. Mm-hmm. I was going to college, and then, that's when I just run into some people and just kind of got involved in electronic music. And I was like, you want to know what? I actually realized I have a pirated copy of FL Studio on my old laptop that's been sitting there, because I think I had downloaded it when I was like 15 or 16, and I never touched it. And my buddy was like, you got that copy. And I was like, I guess you're right. So I just picked it up and started messing around, and then eventually it became like a serious thing. And I switched over to Ableton and bought it, and things got serious.
What did you go to college for?
I was undeclared. Okay. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was paying $20,000 a year to skip class and sit in the 24-hour internet cafe and write dubstep or write electronic music.
Well, there you go.
That's really what it was. I didn't know what I wanted to do at college, but I knew
you wanted to do that. That's all you wanted to do.
That's exactly what it was. I wanted to do music, so that's it. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to play a song real quick. It's one of your biggest songs, Immortal, and then we can talk about it right after. All right, so tell us a little bit about that song. What went into that? It was released on Disciple Roundtable, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that song really didn't have anything special behind it at the time. It sort of turned into something after I'd finished it and sent it around, and it started to get playouts. Then I started getting people hitting me up, like, what is the song? When is it coming out? Where can I get it? It was just honestly at the time. So I had taken a step back and really like thought about my branding and thought about what I wanted to do, what I wanted my music to stand for, and like the message and kind of everything behind that, like the artwork. And I was like, I got to come up with this EP, which was the Genesis EP.
Yep.
And originally it was instead of the Immortals VIP, it was Immortals.
Yep.
And I think because Immortals like ended up taking off like it did, they wanted to release that on a compilation before my EP. And then I was like, well, can I do a VIP of that to put back on my EP? Since that I was very like adamant about those 4 tracks staying together.
Yeah.
Because I had spent a year writing that EP.
What was the message behind that? What were you trying to?
So it was like just like the beginning. It was like a fresh, like a new beginning, like Genesis, like the beginning of something.
Right.
Because I didn't want to change my name. I didn't want to completely rebrand.
Yep.
But I wanted to sort of like have this fresh, like serious thing. So it was kind of just a name and just music, random just songs before.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to be like, hey, nope, like here's this whole package. Here's new, here's visuals, here's new logos, here's this whole story.
An actual your professional releasing something.
Yeah, it was like my professional like coming out in a sense, if you will.
Yeah.
So behind that, it was just a tune for me. It was just like that was at the time for me. It was just the second tune on my EP.
Nice.
I was just writing it in a Starbucks on a laptop and headphones, and I didn't think it was going to be what it turned into.
Yeah.
I was just making music.
Yeah, Excision's played it, like 12 Planets played it, like all the big boys have played it. So it's a song that everyone knows. So
yeah, I had an email list. I just hit the list once I was like done. I was just like, here, bam, 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 bam. I just started sending it out, and then all of a sudden I was like, everywhere I turned, it was like getting support. It was kind of wild, and that's just how it just sort of kind of just took off. It was really
sweet.
Cool.
So how did the whole Disciple thing then? Did they reach out to you, or how does that typically happen? Are you under them only, or I mean, you released on Subsidia too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess you're not.
But, I'm not rostered with them, but I've released a ton of music and like work with them a lot.
How does that go with like any label release usually for you? Do they reach out to you, or like you said, you're sending out emails to people? Was that to your fans, or was that to like all the producers and stuff out there?
That was to all the producers to get the support and to get the playouts. As far as Disciple, they hit me up and they're just like, hey, send music.
Yeah.
That's literally what it
Super
was.
simple.
I think, it was literally the message. It was like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, what's up? And they're like, please send music. And I was like, okay. All right.
All right.
Yeah. And the rest is history.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I like to talk to every artist a little bit about like some more insight on like their personal life of who you are as a person outside of your music career. What do you do like in your free time outside of music? Like, do you have a job? Obviously you graduated from college. Yes. Yeah. And do you have a job outside of that? What do you do outside of
I used to serve part-time just to sort of pay the bills as things went on, but it's very close. It's basically full-time.
Okay, cool.
I don't really work a part-time job that often. Maybe I just sort of pick stuff up when I have free time and something to do. The place I work is pretty cool and pretty flexible. Nice. So it's kind of like, they'll just be like, hey, what weekends are you free? Or like, do you want to pick something up? And I'd be like, hey, I got shows like this and this dates, but I can work on like that Friday if you need me to. So I just kind of fill in for them as a floater.
Nice.
To help them out, because when I was getting started, like, a couple of years ago, before things kind of got to where they are now. Yeah. They were super flexible and they helped me a lot. So now I kind of feel like I can help them out, like, cause they're short staffed. So I'm just like, yeah, man, I can fill in this day or this day for you. But yeah, in the main, the music stuff has really been taken off.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I heard a lot of stuff from like other producers that I've talked to. They're like right in your position, roughly. Like I still part-time work kind of. It's like DoorDash. Even for me, I DoorDash in my free time. So something like that where it's like really flexible. Yeah. Just until you get to that point of like, okay, now we're making real money.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to ask this question. I'm kind of starting something new. I'm looking for a time that like you remember so far in your career that really defined your career and set you in a forward motion. Was that the Disciple release? Was that like, what time was that like actually pushed you forward, or Immortals even? That could have been.
Yeah, it was definitely Immortals for me. Yeah. So that was like, it was all the support leading up to that, like helped sort of build the hype.
Yeah.
And then when it finally dropped, it was like so many people were looking for that song that it just sort of blew up. And then it was kind of like all eyes were on me for a little bit.
Right.
And then it was like, then I came out with the EP, and then people are like, whoa, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just sort of, that was definitely Immortals.
Awesome. That's awesome to hear. I know it's different for every person and every producer out there. Everyone has their own story, but sometimes it happens where it's like one song blows you up, or it's a continuous gradual climb where you got to grind it out. I know who was that? I was hearing an interview, I think, from Sunburn. They were like artists for like 15 years before they finally like started to build a name for themselves. So I always like asking
I would
that
say
question.
it wasn't like the end all be all, but it definitely was like the beginning.
Put you on the map. Yeah.
It's like that put me on the map, which allowed me to then be like, have kind of like a spotlight where I could be like, hey, now here's the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
Right.
So,
yeah, because I know it happens different for everyone. And just for the fans out there, like most of the time they don't realize like how it happens. It's just like, oh, it's a new name on the lineup. It's like, okay, cool. They smashed it. Cool. Now I'm a fan. Like that's usually how the continuum goes, but like,
they don't see
they don't see what it takes.
Yeah,
what it takes to get there. So I always like asking each person that question. But we are running out of time, and I don't want to take too much of your time. But we do need to start wrapping things up. Is there anything you didn't cover or we didn't cover that you want to release to anyone?
No. I just more shows coming up.
Nice.
Working on a ton of music. I'm super slow at writing music because I'm very picky.
Yeah.
I definitely don't put out things as quick as I would like to, but I at the end, like when it's finished, I'm happy with it.
Yeah. I was talking to J6 last week, and you know J6, I'm sure. But he was saying like when he puts out music, like he's very like, we were talking about how like it's only like 5 to 8% that you put out or that you make. Like the process of making music, it's only like 5 or 10% that you actually put out. So it's for everyone, man. Don't feel bad in yourself about that one.
Yeah. No, but I just ton of stuff coming up in the works. So
sweet.
Just hope everybody can be patient for a little bit.
Yeah,
it's gonna be worth it. I'm excited. I got a lot of plans.
I'll for sure have my eyes on you, and I'm sure a lot of us Sacramento people are from here on out since you played for us. But thank you for throwing down at Subcity, and thank you for getting on the interview. I really appreciate you being here, man.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, hopefully we can keep in touch.
Yeah, of course.